This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
Marvel fans, MCU fans, Black Panther fans, Atlanta Falcon fans, and not the Carolina Panthers fan. I didn't mean for my voice to crack like that. That's just happened for emphasis. But anyway, welcome. Wakanda forever. Today, we are doing Black Panther, the movie, and Jordan and I, that's my guy right there, Mr. Jordan Burton, my co-host and co-partner in this Marvel craziness. We are doing the movie Black Panther. How you doing today, sir? All well?
I'm doing good. I mean, I am wearing a Panthers jersey, and I mean, I don't really want to, but I there's no other jersey that made sense to wear during a Black Panther movie review. I mean, people are gonna say, "What about Florida Panthers?" Do you think I own a Florida Panthers sweater? No.
I do not.
So, Panther it is.
Panther, I get it. So, for those of you who don't understand why Jordan is probably chafing and developing rashes as we speak, is that Jordan is a Saints. Jordan is a. Hang on.
It's the same S that they use at the beginning of Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there. Not this year, buddy, but Jordan is a Saints fan. Okay. And of course, the Panthers are NFC rivals. And you know, I look, I congratulate you for wearing the rival jersey because I don't know that I would put on a rival jersey for anything or anyone.
Only one team I won't, and that's the Cowboys. I refuse to wear a Cowboys jersey.
Because Jordan is also an Eagles fan. I know, weird dynamic. We'll go over it another time. It's a whole thing. It's okay.
Like, I own Cowboys jerseys. I own 3. Never worn them. I've never worn them ever.
Right.
I bought one to sell. Nobody bought it. I mean, I live in Pennsylvania. Nobody wants to buy it, even though it's a Mitchell and Ness stitched Michael Irvin jersey. I thought I could buy it and sell it. Couldn't. DeMarco Murray. I love DeMarco Murray. Big fan of him. And Miles Austin. It's throwback. And the other 2 are former Eagles. So only made sense. But yeah, no. Never worn them. Never will.
I got you. I understand. I get it. Totally get it. All right. Let's get into Black Panther. Released February 16th, 2018. Directed by one Mr. Ryan Coogler, who recently won an award, an Oscar for Best Screenplay for the movie Sinners. Shot at Marvel Studios. Was produced by Kevin Feige. The main cast is T'Challa, Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Gone too soon. Michael B. Jordan is Eric Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan, of course, won the Best Actor Oscar for Sinners, and he totally deserved it. Lupita Nyong'o is Nakia, and she's just so adorable. I love me some Lupita. Dene Gira is Okoye. Letitia Wright is Shuri. Martin Freeman is Everett Ross. Angela Bassett is Ramonda. And Forrest Whitaker is Zuri. And here's the kicker. This movie did 1.34 million worldwide. It was an epic event. It was a moment in history, whatever you want to call yourself. It was a cultural release. It was outstanding, and I am one who was so proud to see that movie. I think Marvel really did a great job bringing this character to life, holding to certain African traditions and keeping it authentic and the way in which we would love to see Black Panther seen. Great job on this to Marvel and Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler and Chadwick Boseman and the cast. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movie. Jordan, let's just give it a quick overview. Give me your thoughts on the Black Panther. The Black Panther.
Well, I love Black Panther. I've always been a big fan of Black Panther in the comics. I had Black Panther action figures. I remember watching the Avengers animated sequel, which features the Black Panther. Yep. I've always been a huge fan of Black Panther. I think his costume's all really cool. And I love how quiet and sneaky he is while also being like a deadly character. So, and Chadwick Boseman, I've always been a huge fan of Chadwick Boseman as an actor. So I talked about this in the Civil War review, so I won't talk too much about that, but I was just a huge fan of Chadwick Boseman becoming T'Challa. And when I went to see this movie, when I heard this movie was coming out, I was like, all right, this movie's going to do great. I can't wait. It was one of those movies, all you need to do was say that it was going to come out and it was going to do well. I was going to guarantee its success. And they nailed it. There's maybe one stumble for me personally, but otherwise I love the movie overall. And I when I first saw this movie, it's the only time I ever sat front row in a movie theater ever in my life. Because I was coming home from school and I was going straight to the movie theater with my mom, and my mom didn't get the tickets until we got there. So this was opening weekend to see Black Panther. So the only seats that were available were front row. Yeah. And I was looking up in an IMAX theater, and I still enjoyed the movie. I mean, it was a worst spot I've ever been in a theater, but otherwise it was such a fantastic movie. I mean, I got done that movie and I'm like, there's certain movies that when you get done them, it feels like you are part of like your whole society, and your whole society is experiencing this, and you're a part of that experience. And right. This was one of those events. I mean, now after this movie came out, I mean, there's athletes on the field doing the Wakanda Forever salute. I mean, I will forever remember Victor Oladipo at the dunk contest putting on the Black Panther mask, having Chadwick Boseman on the side and doing the Wakanda Forever before he goes and doesn't dunk. The impact that this movie had on just the world as a whole is so incredible. And I mean, we all knew Chadwick Boseman was a great actor before this, but after this, everybody knew that like this guy's now a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. So I took all of my kids to see this. My wife saw it at home. My wife she really doesn't like theaters. I guess you get older and I get it. So I took all my kids to see this, but this was a moment. I can recall people standing up. I can recall people being in tears. Just what a moment. And to the melanated folks, it represented a lot, right? So if we go back 50 plus years to the 70s, a lot of the shows were blaxploitation films, right? In other words, they were directed to act a certain way. You jive turkey, I'm gonna get you, sucker. And Black Panther is the one character, I shouldn't say one, but one of the characters going back years in Marvel who never capitulated to that sort of thinking, who never acquiesced to that. He was a king. He was proud to be a king. He had certain traditions and nomenclature, and he carried himself with pride, integrity, and shout out to Marvel for writing him that way. But this was a true moment in the culture of melanated folks everywhere, and I know it meant a lot. I think my wife did go and see this movie. I think she went. My mother-in-law went. My mom didn't go because whatever, she's stuck. Love you, mom. But yeah, great movie. So let's get to it. Set in the hidden, technologically advanced nation of Wakanda forever, the film explores what it means to lead, protect, and share power with the world following the events of Captain America Civil War. And I believe this picks up a week later. Okay. T'Challa returns home to take his rightful place as king, but his rule is immediately challenged, not just politically, but ideologically. This is a story about identity, responsibility, and legacy wrapped inside of one of the most visually unique films in the MCU. And it definitely was visually unique. The weapons and the technology was such a great part of this film. Oh, it was so cool. I loved it. The movie opens with the explanation of the 5 tribes and how Bast, the Panther god, led them to the vibranium and the tech, and because before they were warring for control, and I guess whoever was imbued with the power of the Black Panther, 4 tribes agreed to make him their king and follow them, and the Jabari. Wait, what did he say? M'Baku. He said something when he's coming out to challenge him. But anyway,
Malify.
I can't say it like he said it, but that was great. I love M'Baku when he's like,
M'Baku's great. M'Baku's such a great character. I loved him, and I loved him in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, or just as much. He's such an awesome character.
He was great when they go to see him, and Freeman is talking, and he's like, "You cannot talk. I will feed you." I'm just kidding. I will feed you to my men. I'm just kidding. We are vegetarians. And he comes out and he's like, "I will not have it all." I don't know what the O is. I don't know what the necessity of the O is on the end of the sentence, but we will not have a kid who loves technology and rejects our traditions over here. I will not have it. I say I will not have it all. That was funny. I felt like he was preaching. I love that scene. And but yeah, M'Baku was great. Character of honor. Anyway, let's get into it, man. So let's see. Where are we? Wakanda is revealed as a hidden advanced society. T'Challa struggles with the weight of leadership. External threats begin to surface. Ulysses' Claw resurfaces, stealing vibranium and exposing Wakanda's secrets. T'Challa teams with Nakia and Okoye to capture him. During the mission, CIA agent Everett Ross is introduced. Claw is freed by Eric Killmonger, and this sets up the true threat. And man, let me tell you something. This was just great. So the opening scene, we see that Black Panther's on a mission to rescue Nakia, or to go and get Nakia, because his father died and he wants her to attend his funeral, and she's his ex. And Okoye says to him, "Now, when you see her, don't freeze," right? And he's like, "I never freeze." And so they open the compartment beneath him, and he is released from the ship, and he has these 3 what do you call them, marbles or objects in his hand, and he throws them, and they turn into discs that shut down 3 of the cars. And of course, Black Panther attacks them, frees Nakia, but he did in fact freeze when he saw her. It was like, you know what I mean? That was funny. And so Nkoye drops down to help him out, and she's like, "You froze," and he was like, "I did not." And Nakia was like, "Yes, he did." And she said, "You interrupted my mission. I was fine." And Black Panther says, "Well, my dad died, and I want you to attend." And of course, she's, of course, regretful. And so, we see them go back to Wakanda. And the lovely thing about Wakanda, which I did have a question for you, so we may jump around a bit, but as you see the craft, the plane, the ship, or whatever that's being piloted approaching the woods, right? All of a sudden, it is revealed that is the entry point to Wakanda, and it flies through this gateway, right? Yeah. So here was my question: if they had to go that way, then when Killmonger goes to Wakanda, how does he enter the gates? Because he shouldn't have seen it.
But that's unless he my guess is that he already knows like how to get through, and that there's multiple entry points, and maybe you need, like, he's obviously got Wakandan like vibranium stuff, so it's possible there are other ways of entering Wakanda, not just that one point.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my guess. Like, he sees everybody in the farm fields, which I think that takes place outside of Wakanda itself,
the city, right?
Like, yeah, right. Outside of the city. So that's where he sees them, and I'm sure they also get him into the city.
Okay. All right. So Black Panther arrives, and we see Angela Bassett, Ramonda's character. We see Shuri. We meet her, and Shuri's she's a cute kid, man. She's very technologically advanced, but she's funny. She's just, she's a teenager. Typical teenager. And so the first thing she says is, "Did he freeze?" And Okoye was like, yes, he did. And they're cracking jokes. And of course, this is a big moment for Black Panther because they're about to have the culmination ceremony for him becoming king, in which there's ritual combat. But it's just a great day for Black Panther. Everybody's super excited. And we have no idea what is to come. Give me your thoughts on what has happened thus far, Jordan.
I had wondered how so this is obviously not an origin story or anything, and
right.
Maybe that's a part of it that I get held back a little, because I still to this day have questions on like the origins of Black Panther, and maybe we'll get that in a future film, maybe we won't, I don't know, but like, because I want to know how T'Challa became the Black Panther. Like, I know it's passed down generation to generation, but at some point T'Chaka had to be like, I can't physically do this anymore. I'm gonna let my son take over the mantle. I'll stay king. He'll be Black Panther. Like, I wanted to see that. I was hoping we would see that. We did. But only makes this is a great starting point for a Black Panther movie, in that in 99% of like startup Black Panther comics or movies or shows, it starts off with T'Challa becoming king. So, and that's normally the starting point, is like, okay, T'Challa is becoming king now. So he's already been Black Panther. This is just now he's going to be taking over the throne. Normally when his dad T'Chaka dies. So yeah, his dad dies in Civil War. And it's funny when he's like, Nakia, hi. Like he just says hi. I'm like, this guy's just like me. So but yeah, he does freeze. It's pretty funny. I like the little bits of humor throughout this movie. Like it's not a Marvel type of humor, but it is. It's like more like humor brought up out of nowhere. Like M'Baku is just inherently a funny character. He's serious, but mainly funny when he's not serious. But it's a great starting point. Visually, it's such a. I mean, this whole movie is visually stunning, and when you get to the point where all the Wakandan warriors are like hitting their staff on the water, creating ripple effects, which then lead to like the ceremony stages being set. Like it was such a well done visual scene, and it's like this whole movie is so just visually stunning. And they do a great job of capturing like this like the city of Wakanda and just Africa in general.
They did a great job of capturing that. They did a great job of the technology of bringing it to life. They did a great job of all of the devices. It was I love this movie. I really do love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies ever. I am and it's like it aged well, you know, because every time I watch it, I'm like, wow.
Now I will say, I used to watch this movie all the time, and when Chadwick Boseman died, I probably can tell you how many times on one hand I've watched it. It's a rough rewatch, especially like, and even Civil War, like at times, like part of like Black Panther is like this, like talking about death and moving on and stuff like that. And it's sad when you gotta think about that from like a real world perspective of like Chadwick Boseman dying and moving on from him. When he died, one of my roommates decided to put on Black Panther in the middle of a party, and we were all just depressed for the rest of that Friday night watching Black Panther. And we are all college students, and I got the news on my phone from Chadwick Boseman's Twitter, from his family posting saying that he passed away. And I told all my roommates, and then one of my roommates decided to just throw on Black Panther. And yeah, we literally all sat on the couch. We weren't partying. We just all watched Black Panther, and it was just such a sad moment. I mean, it was just awful, awful time. I remember telling my mom. I remember telling my friends. Like that was just an awful time. So yeah, since then I don't really watch this movie all that much. And I mean, when we get to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, that movie feels like a funeral.
Yeah, it really
that movie hits a certain there's a certain thing that movie does that I've never had a movie do, and even on rewatch it continues to do that, where there's no movie that really sums up loss as much, and just what people go through when they lose someone, quite like Wakanda Forever. And you really see how all the actors and actresses who knew Chadwick Boseman and the way Ryan Coogler knew him, like you see that throughout the movie, that like what they wanted to tell in terms of like what they were going through while on set.
Yeah, I like the fact that when that movie started, there's just complete silence. There's complete silence. I believe
that's the quietest I've ever seen a theater in my entire life.
Yeah,
was that moment there.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, man.
And another part of that is you mentioned it opening up quiet, like that with the Marvel Studios logo. There's no music, and it's just going through the Marvel Studios, but it's a Chadwick Boseman themed.
It's all
Marvel
technical.
Studios.
Yeah.
So not only that, but now on Disney Plus, when you go and rewatch the first Black Panther movie, that same intro now plays instead of the old one. So, like, if you watch Black Panther on DVD, when I'm sure a lot of people who have it on DVD have the original copy, that'll play the normal Marvel Studios intro. But when you go on Disney Plus to watch it, you will find the same Black Panther Wakanda Forever intro with Chadwick Boseman in the Marvel Studios intro. So I think that was so classy. I wish, honestly, there's sometimes I wish Marvel would do stuff like edits and stuff like that for a lot of Disney projects. But I thought that was really classy of Disney to do that, because they didn't have to do that, but they did, and I really appreciate that.
It really was. It was done with. It was perfect the way they did that. It was a great send off. And rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Great send off for him. So everybody's excited for the Warrior Fall ceremony, which introduces the cultural foundation of Wakanda, where tradition outweighs even advanced technology. Right? T'Challa willingly strips himself of the Black Panther powers to fight as a man, emphasizing honor and legitimacy. Tribal leaders gather, chanting and observing, reinforcing unity and hierarchy within Wakandan society. The challenge from M'Baku, "No, I will not have it," or brings tension as brute strength clashes with T'Challa's discipline and resilience. Ultimately, T'Challa's victory establishes him not just as king by lineage, but as a leader who earns his throne through combat and courage. And oh man, what a scene. So he comes out there, he takes the potion or whatever, removing the powers from him, and you have to be able to defend yourself, and you're a king of Wakanda. You have to be able to protect it, and a part of that is obviously being able to fight and protect yourself and proving yourself worthy of kingship. And T'Challa definitely does that. And as the conflict ensues, M'Baku, who's much bigger than T'Challa, comes out and kind of gets the edge. And, T'Challa goes old school because he's got the mask on, and the mask has these gorilla teeth, and it's kind of jaded. And so he's headbutting T'Challa and getting the best of him. And T'Challa drops the elbow on him, the elbow of death to that mask, and kind of turns the tide, so to speak. And then the conflict goes to the ground, and T'Challa puts him in the, what do we call it? The figure four, the leg lock, where he's got him, and he's like, "Your people need you. Go ahead. Surrender. Your people need you. You don't have to die today." And of course, M'Baku surrenders, and T'Challa is crowned king. And he is the new Black Panther. And who was Nkoye's husband? Nkoye, what was his name?
Oh yeah, I always forget because he's a great actor. He was in Get Out. He was in Get Out. And I always forget that he was it. Like, he doesn't show up in anything else after this movie. I don't know whether the actor just didn't want to be in anything anymore, but he didn't want to be in Marvel after this.
Yeah, Wakabi.
Yeah.
Wakabi.
And one thing I will say about M'Baku, and I'm glad they showed like the gorilla aesthetic with him, because they don't mention his name for obvious reasons from the comics, because it's a very it's a sort of like a stereo. It is a stereotype. His name in the comics, M'Baku, is Man-Ape, and I can completely understand why they just didn't want to use that.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that.
I'll say. But I still absolutely love the aesthetic that M'Baku brings. Yes. In terms of going with the gorilla forward, like the old school gear, and even with T'Challa when he has the Panther mask. I think that's so cool. And when he later on, like you said, when he's like, ooh, 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 and he's like, I will feed you to my children. And he's like, I'm just kidding, we're vegetarians. That's one of the best lines.
You
I love M'Baku.
I will feed you to my children. I'm just kidding. We are vegetarians. It's like that.
And then
humor.
He busts out laughing right after that. We take like a whole pause because his two guards are so serious right next to him, and he's just like, I love it. M'Baku's so great.
But, to be honest with you, he might be the MVP of the story, because if he does not care for T'Challa while he's in that state, well, he did two things. One, he took him in and he did care for him. Now, he did not engage the other four tribes, but he took him in and cared for him. And when Nakia comes to bring him the herb, say it with me, George, the herb. When she comes to bring the herb, he doesn't take it, right? Because he could have taken it. Think about it. He just challenged him for the kingship, about 30 minutes earlier. He could have taken it and been like, I'll just become Black Panther, and never told them. He doesn't do that. He says, I have something you should see, and takes them to his body. So I really and M'Baku is a man of honor, and I really do like him. But W'Kabi's husband, I'm sorry, Lord Jesus, Nkoye's husband, W'Kabi, is having a conversation with Black Panther, and he's like, "Are you gonna work it out with Nakia?" And he's like, "I don't know. She wants to do this. She thinks we should send foreign aid to other countries." And W'Kabi is like, "Well, I'm all for going around the world and helping them, but bringing them here, you bring their problems." And the one thing about Wakanda is, to the world, they appear like this barren country, like this very barren country, destitute of resources, but they don't accept any aid from other countries. But it is not known at how rich and technically advanced this society is. And a big part of the fear is that if we let that be known, that other folks will come for it. And that is true. So it is a legitimate fear. But as they're talking, they both get a summons from Nkoye, and she says, "Your Highness," to Black Panther, or "my king," or something like that. And then she says to W'Kabi, "My love, you need to come immediately." And they found out that Klaus has been seen and is about to, and has stolen a Wakandan artifact and is trying to sell it. And so they go to, I believe it's in Great Britain, right? Was it in Great Britain? I think it was in Britain.
Yeah, that's where Claw. Yeah, that's where Claw steals. I don't know where they meet up at, but that's where Claw steals the vibranium.
Yeah.
Well, and Killmonger. Yeah.
And so the reason this is so important to W'Kabi is when Claw came to Wakanda 30 years ago and stole vibranium, he killed W'Kabi's parents. And so this is a big deal to him. And Black Panther promises him, he says, either you kill him or you bring him here. And Black Panther promises that he would. And this is a promise that he won't be able to keep. And it will be a source of division with W'Kabi and with Black Panther. And so Black Panther with Nakia and Nkoye travel to the U.S. Wait, no, they went to China, right? I'm sorry. They went to some Asian place. I can't remember where it was. But he does. Let's get back to W'Kabi. He supports T'Challa at first, but becomes frustrated when Klaus escapes again. When Eric Killmonger brings Klaus's body to Wakanda, W'Kabi sees it as justice finally served. This moment convinces him to back Killmonger as king, even though it puts him at odds with his wife, Okoye. His arc represents the conflict between loyalty and the throne and loyalty and to personal relationships. And I felt like he went out bad here, right? Because, again, I can understand wanting to avenge your parents' untimely passing. I really can. But you've known T'Challa all his life. You just met Killmonger, right? And I get it. I get it. But his conflict with Okoye, the emotional core of W'Kabi's story, comes during the battle in Wakanda as Okoye stands for the throne and tradition, and W'Kabi stands for Killmonger's rule and vision. Their confrontation is tense because neither one hates the other. They simply believe in different paths. And so this is similar to in Civil War when Clint and Natasha fight, if Clint and Natasha were married. But they weren't pulling punches, or they didn't seem to be pulling punches. As a matter of fact, in the final conflict, when she tells him to stand down, he says, "Would you kill me, my love?" And she says, "For Wakanda? Without question." And the way she delivers that line, Jordan, is like, woo, boy. And you know what's interesting is so Nakia is a spy. Nakia is a spy. Okoye is a part of the Dora Laje, which they are, as a matter of fact, the ladies that you see in the background here, all aerodynamically designed or without hair. The Dora Laje are the guards to the king, right? And so she is the leader of the Dora Laje and a very prodigious fighter, very capable. As a matter of fact, I believe the one in the middle here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but this young lady was the one who met Natasha in Civil War, and they kind of sized each other up. And Black Panther says, as entertaining as that would be, and it would have been a good fight, okay? That would have been a good fight. He says, I have better things to do. It's interesting. But when Black Panther is killed, supposedly, Okoye and Nakia have this conversation. And Nakia, Ramonda, Black Panther's mom, and Shuri all leave the battle because they, Killmonger could have very easily killed them. He's a king. Who's going to check the king? So it would have been well within his rights to just go ahead and assassinate them. Right. Yeah. And so they leave in fear. And as Nakia is leaving, she says to Okoye, well, come with me so we can overthrow him. And Okoye says, I am not a spy. I am sworn to protect the throne of Wakanda, regardless as to who rules it. Okay. And this shows that Okoye is about Wakandan law. She's about doing what's right. She serves the throne of Wakanda, regardless of who's sitting on it. And I just thought, wow, like that's because 90% of people would have been like, I'm not going for this. We don't know this guy. But that is why she is a leader, because she follows the process, right? So anyway,
and that ends up, her doing that ends up being a conflict that's brought back up in Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
In that Queen Ramonda, like she holds that against her. That you sided with Killmonger. Right. And look, I don't agree with what Okoye was doing, but I don't agree with I wouldn't have agreed with Okoye. I would have like at some point you got to understand that like your country's not first and foremost. And I mean, I think there are people like this around the world that are very country first, and I've just never been that type of person. I've met a lot of people like that. That's just not my thing. And I don't agree with. I understand. I just don't agree. That's my own personal opinion. I'm sure there's going to be people that probably side with Okoye in this, and that like, oh, like she's just doing it for her country. I get it. It's just I don't necessarily agree with it, but we can have differences of opinions.
You know, that's tough, Jordan, because I see both sides.
Yeah.
There's
Oh yeah, I see both sides.
there's a movie out long time ago. This is how old I am, Jordan. This movie's older than you, but it's called Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington
Yes.
and Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman.
Yep.
And basically, prior to 1995, the launch codes were housed on a submarine for a nuclear warhead, and they had to be released, but they were released they could be released independent of the president.
Yeah.
And so what happens in this movie is that there's a Russian leader who's losing his mind and very erratic and threatening nuclear war. And so the USS Alabama goes into Russia to just observe the Russian Navy and make sure that nobody fires anything off. And as they are traveling, they come across this Russian sub that they did not detect via sonar. And a part of their radio buoy, which is the cable that they launch, or back then, it's probably a different one now, but it's a cable that they would launch from the sub to go up to the surface to retrieve a message. It's called an EAM, and it has to be verified with two officers, and it's basically a code, and it's something like Tango, Zulu, Roger, Yankee, Echo, whatever. But this code has to be repeated by two officers, right? The XO and the CO. The CO is the captain of the ship. The XO is the second in command. And so what ends up happening is during this they receive a message that says, "Hey, go ahead and launch." And as they're preparing to do that, they come upon this sub again, and in the conflict, the EAM is damaged, and they receive another message, but it's a message fragment. So the message is not complete. Now, therein lies the conflict, because the CO, who is Gene Hackman, says, during this process, if ever this occurs, you always go with the actions, with the orders in hand, which is, let's just go ahead and launch this nuclear bomb. And Denzel says, no, this is not a typical scenario like that. If we launch these bombs, we can't take them back. We cannot take them back. So we really need to be sure. How about we repair the buoy and launch it and get that message? And there is a mutiny that takes place on this ship. And it's a great movie. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I really believe this happened. Okay. And I'll get to why in just a bit. But anyway, the man at arms, or the second most powerful enlisted man under the CO, who's Gene Hackman's crew, decides to help Denzel because the captain just threw him in the brig when he got frustrated and didn't follow process. And Denzel thanks him, and the guy looks at him and says, "F you. You could be wrong, but the captain just can't do that. That's why I did that." And in that scenario, he reminds me of Okoye. Okay, that's the long. I know it's a very long-winded comparison, but that's why I was doing that, and it is necessary because in this case, it does cause a rift between Ramonda and Okoye, but in Crimson Tide, it prevents us from going to nuclear war.
Yes.
So, just a thought. Anyway, I'm sorry for that long-winded exhibition, but anyway, Nakia and It's so funny. Okoye has on this wig, and she's so uncomfortable, and she's like, "I want to just get rid of it." And the key is funny. She's just like, "Own it, girl." Ha!
Mhm.
Sachet, and it's there's little bits of humor here that are just it's hilarious. Like when Black Panther walks up to Shuri, and she's looking at his shoes, and she goes, "What are those? What are those?" And that was
see, here's the thing: there's going to be some references in this movie that are not going to age well.
right.
That won't age well.
Right.
Like, I understand that, you understand that. Like, I think when you get to people who are like nowadays probably like 16, 17 or younger, they're not going to understand that reference.
Right. Right.
And even later on when Ulysses Claw shoots the whatever an ATM or something that T'Challa has, and he's like, "I made it rain." Like, eventually we're gonna get to a point that people are gonna be like, "I don't understand that reference," and there's certain references in this movie. I think that maybe they tried a little too hard to relate to current stuff. Like, it's you look at the soundtrack. The soundtrack was literally had Kendrick Lamar, The Weeknd, and SZA. Like, that was huge. Like, I have this whole album downloaded on my phone because it is an incredible album.
It really is.
I don't know if Kendrick Lamar won like a Grammy for this album. He probably should have. But this whole entire album is incredible. All the stars all of the stars with SZA and Kendrick Lamar is incredible.
Is it SZA or SZA?
SZA. And Pray For Me with The Weeknd. Oh my, it's just incredible. This is an incredible sound. This is a top tier album.
Yes.
For top tier soundtrack for the MCU. Like I would say, one is Guardians of the Galaxy. Two, if we're just talking all Marvel, Deadpool's my second, and third is probably this movie right here.
No, it was a great scene.
I mean, I still listen to songs to this day on this album, from this movie. And yeah, there's some references, and that's probably why it was such a cultural phenomenon. On top of like just how the cultural dynamics with like African culture in this movie is so incredible, and it's educating for a lot of people. And what's funny is Marvel Studios originally wanted T'Challa to have a British accent because technically from that area of Africa they would have had a British accent based off of colonization.
Right.
It wouldn't have been like comic accurate, or I mean, it's hard to hear accents in comics, but it wouldn't have been accurate to any Black Panther animated things. But Chadwick Boseman was like, no, we're gonna go with just an African dialect. And plus, I've heard Chadwick Boseman and other things, and that was the one thing I worried about when I heard he was gonna be Black Panther. I was like, is he gonna get the accent down right? And I think he nailed it. He's still nailed it. Even in blooper reels, like off camera, he was still doing the accent, and I'm like, you nailed it, bro. Like, because Chadwick Boseman naturally has like, I don't know where Chadwick Boseman is from, but he's sort of got that New York accent. I don't know if he's from New York, but that's his accent, what he typically has. So going from that to this accent is he does such a great job on the accent.
Yeah.
But this whole movie just from like a cultural perspective, it just hit immediately when it came out, and everybody just loved it. I mean, I bought a Black Panther. Like, I was going to the beach for a family reunion that year, and I bought a Black Panther towel because I'm like I love Black Panther already, and this movie just it was something I wanted for so long, and I got exactly what I wanted out of it and more.
Yeah. No, let me tell you something. This I cannot tell you how important this was to melanated folks across the world, because this isn't known. This isn't really known outside of African American culture or African culture in general, but there is kind of a division or a rift between Africans and African Americans. So the diaspora of the African folk, if we go back to slavery, was Africa, the Caribbean, and the United States. And slavery and the treatment of Africans was worse in the United States. Now, there were slaves in Africa, there were slaves in the Caribbean, but none of them were treated as badly as African Americans. And so there's this natural disdain, as African Americans were again treated very badly for essentially 400 years, and we are still dealing with the aspects of that. And the simplest way I can put it is think of if you had a dog that you beat. Let's say this dog lived 50 years. You beat that dog for 25 years. You beat him savagely. You killed his mother in front of him. You killed his father in front of him. You sold off you treated this dog very badly. And then for the next 25 years, you set him free and you said, all right, go in your own neighborhoods and pursue your own life. Well, you've sown nothing but hatred and self-loathing and abuse into this animal. What is he going to do? He's going to do what he knows. And you're going to see that play out, right? Where the Africans who stayed, a lot of them, even though they were slaves, they were not treated as badly. And it did not go on as long on the continent of Africa as it did on the continent of the United States. And so there is this natural rift. And so when we see Killmonger, he represents the African Americans and their plight, and T'Challa represents the Africans. And so that was a real world message. And this is why this movie resonated so much with melanated people, because we're going to see something that others would not, because how could they? They've not lived this life. They don't understand. And so it resonated with us. Even the topic of Wakanda and weapons was essentially, I believe Ryan Coogler was saying, guys, we need to work together. We need to work together. We need to work together as far as infrastructure is concerned. We need to work together as far as building our own communities. We need to work together as far as thriving. We need to do that all over the world, right? And I'm not going to get geopolitical, but if ever there was a time for that, it is now. And so that is kind of, I love the way they bake that into them, because they don't come out and necessarily say it, but they say it. And it's interesting, Jordan, and I apologize for jumping all over the place, but hey, I'm in this mode. I was up last night because I could not sleep. I don't know why, Jordan. I'm old. I could not sleep, as you often know, I do this, and I'm surprised I didn't get a go to bed text, because Jordan is always go to bed.
I went to bed early. It was Thursday. I'll text you again tonight. I'll be like, go to bed.
Go to bed, right? So I'm up, and you know how you have just reels on Facebook or whatever social media platform you utilize, and they're just going. And finally, they get to the origin of the Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the inspiration for that show was?
I don't.
I did not. It was the murder of Emmett Till.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was murdered in either Mississippi or Tennessee or some southern
state.
Yeah,
Mississippi.
For looking at a white woman, even though he wasn't, but he was murdered for that. But essentially, when Rod Serling wanted to do it, he wanted to write a movie about it or a show about it. And the network at the time was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And he went back and forth with them. And so, so he changed the concept. but he still made it about them. And there are a couple of episodes that they went through last night, and I can't think of the episode, but essentially in this episode, this man is getting put to death for something that he did. I think he killed somebody or somebody that was extremely racist. Again, high level view, and it's dark outside, and they can't understand why the sun is not coming up in this particular city. They just don't understand. And so, they keep asking this guy, well, did you do that? And this guy was one of the nicest people. He was well respected by his neighbors. He did everything he could, but they asked him, did you do it? And he said, yep, I'm guilty and I don't feel bad about it. And it's dark. And finally they put him to death, and it gets darker. And it's at this point, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. And somebody said, why is the sun not coming out? And he's like, well, it's all the hatred. It's all the hatred. This guy, you guys hated him so much, and what he felt was hatred, and that's why it's dark. And unless we can do something about it, it's going to get darker. And all of a sudden it gets so dark they can't see, and they can't see themselves. And it gets darkest in Chicago, where Emmett Till was buried, because he was from Chicago.
Yeah.
In Dallas, Texas, because I think Kennedy had been killed in Texas like the year before or something like that. But anyway, yes, Emmett Till was the catalyst for the show The Twilight Zone. So I did not know that. I didn't know it either.
Wow. So, you learn something new every day.
There you go.
I wanted to I forget what movie it was. I think there's someone from Black Panther that was in an Emmett Till movie that came out a couple years ago, and it's on my watch list to watch. I think it's called Till.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to watch that. Yeah, I did. I've done many projects on Emmett Till, in middle school and high school. So I did not know that. That's so interesting, and I like the Twilight Zone too. So wow, that's interesting.
I love the Twilight Zone. I did not know that, but hey, man, shout out to Rod Serling. Good for you. Yeah. So let's get back to Black Panther. So the Busan Casino and Casino, Lord Jesus, Casino. Where is Busan? I think it's some Asian country, but I will let you know. Where is Busan?
I'm curious if that's
in Korea. It's in Korea. Yeah. Okay. So they're in Korea. There you go. The Busan Casino blends espionage and superhero action, showcasing Wakanda's global reach. Okoye and Nakia move through the environment with precision before the situation escalates into chaos. The iconic moment where Okoye removes her wig and mid-fight symbolizes her rejection of disguise and embrace of authenticity. T'Challa joins the battle in full Black Panther form, displaying agility and tactical combat skills. This sequence highlights the team dynamic while setting up the pursuit of Claw and the larger geopolitical stakes. And let me tell you something. This car chase, oh, man. Oh, it was great. Oh, they were showing off the toys, Jordan. They were showing off all the toys, and I'm here for it. And, of course, he has this suit that if you hit him or if you hit him with something, it absorbs the energy, and then he can redisperse it. And all the toys were on display. Siri has this technology where she can take over any car and remotely drive it. And so there's a Lexus that just happens to be outside as Claw starts to get away with his team, and Suri commandeers the vehicle, and she's driving it with Black Panther atop. And all the action sequences are great. The movements. One thing Marvel does really well, really, really well, is they capture the movements of each character great. So when we are introduced to T'Challa, Black Panther, in Civil War, and he starts to fight, his movements are exactly as Black Panther would be. Exactly as Black Panther would be. And I love that. Spider-Man, great job of that. When we see him move, his movements are exactly as they would be. And so that is definitely the case here, as they are following Claw and trying to commandeer him and through this fight scene. And it is great. Jordan, take me through this fight, this car chase, and just give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I will say, the one, getting back to the casino, the one character that I don't know why I just don't like him at all. Every time I see him in any project that he's in, I'm just like, I don't care for you at all. Is Martin Freeman's character, Agent Everett Ross, which is it's weird too, because like we have a General Ross, which is a completely different character.
And I wonder if he's related to him. I wonder if he's related.
And I looked it up, and in the comics they're not related.
Okay.
So there's just similar names. I'm just like, I don't like you. Like, I didn't like you in Civil War because you were taking away Captain America and Sam's stuff. And I don't like you here.
Sass to him too. He was like, he did have some sass.
Yeah,
to him.
That's why I don't think I like him. Is he's so like government forward, and I'm like, bro, this is bigger than you. Okay, you think you're an agent? You think you have say, bro? If I guarantee you, I would love to see you fight even the weakest Avenger, and like Ant-Man or like Hawkeye or like Black Widow or something. I would love to see you in a fight with them, because you're gonna last like 5 seconds. And I don't know. He just seems like overly cocky, like he knows so much, and which is probably why he's great for this movie, is because he thinks he knows all this stuff. And he realizes as soon as he goes to Wakanda, like, I don't know jack. I don't know anything. Anyway, we get into this chase scene was so awesome. I love when Shuri's driving the car and there's like an accident, a pile up and stuff like that, and T'Challa's like hanging off the side and claws the ground to move the car and turn the car. That was so sick.
That was great. That was great. Yeah.
When he's climbing on the building, like, and just his, like you said, the movements with him is just it's so smooth. Yeah. Like he does it like effortlessly.
Yeah.
I will say, one part that I really didn't, I guess the only thing I don't like about the Black Panther suit is when they show his eyes. I don't know, visually, it just doesn't look right. I don't know. I don't like when he shows his eye. I understand why he's showing his eyes to Claw, like almost like and when I kill you, I want you to see my eyes when you kill. It's one of those type of interactions, like normally when you're watching like movies or shows, like people want to show eyes because like there's just like, and maybe that's the psychopath in Hollywood, but like most murderers or killers like to look into the eyes of the people that they kill, because they want to basically see their soul leave them. And that's gross. And I think Hollywood has adapted that into a lot of movies and shows. And I think part of it is like, they want to see like I want to look into the eyes of my enemy when I see him die. And in fact, I just watched a show earlier this week, Invincible, which was it was the single sickest thing I've ever seen in animation ever in my entire life.
A lot of sick things on that show.
I would rather watch the Terrifier franchise before I go to bed before watching that. That's how crazy this last episode was.
Are they on season 4 or season 5?
I think 5.
I gotta catch 5.
This last episode, I went to Twitter, and Twitter's just like, what? I would, when I say I would rather watch the Terrifier franchise than watch that, and this was animated, I would rather watch the Terrifier franchise than what I just saw. I had to look away, and for me to do that, I watched Ed Gein. That was the craziest thing I ever saw. And for me to do that, that's when I was like, oh, you got me there. Like you really got me. I'm feeling it now.
Yeah. Outside of Saw, was that like the sickest thing you've seen on film. Because I can tell you the thing that just made me cringe the most is that scene in American History X where he takes this guy's head and tells him to open his mouth and put it on the curtain. Oh my God! Oh, boy!
I don't think there's one scene in any movie or show that's really like that. Some of it's so sad. Like I can point to different ones. Like it's funny because earlier this week was like the 6-year anniversary or 7-year anniversary of the show coming out, but 13 Reasons Why. In season 2, there's a scene where someone shoves a broom up another man's butt, and it's one of the worst things that you could watch. 13 Reasons Why in general is a show.
Yeah,
it's just it's a heartbreaking. It's not like horror and gore like that. It's just heartbreaking to watch. And I recommend the show from a mental health standpoint. I think a lot of people can learn from watching this, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well.
Right. Because you don't know what a person's going through.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think that, like when I say that show impacted my life, I think it did because it allowed me to look at another perspective of other people, not just myself, when it comes to mental health. But American History X, Terrifier 1 specifically, that's just cutting someone in half. Saw, I don't think any of the Saw movies have a specific scene that's there's a lot of various scenes.
They're all just, I can't watch Saw. I cannot. You decide. You have 5. Live or die. You decide. And I can't watch it.
And one more is the Ed Gein monster miniseries on Netflix. That was just so disturbing on all levels. There are just scenes where I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I just want to be somewhere else. I want to watch SpongeBob. I want to watch Dora. I want to watch literally anything else. I want to be happy and funny. And no, that was
why is that, Jordan, when we as human beings are so uncomfortable to see something? Why do we revert back to childhood? Why do we because I was watching some other movie the other day, totally off topic, away from Marvel. But, the guy was basically saying, I want to listen to Sesame Street or something like that. But it was something tied to his childhood. Why is that?
It's a psychological thing. I mean, we all, at the end of the day, we all revert back to when we're most comfortable. Some people, and for a lot of people, it's our childhood. So whenever we are in a state of uncomfortableness, we tend to revert back. We want to find some comfort. And for most people, that comfort is their childhood. Now, for people who don't grow up in comfortable childhoods, that tends to not be that. It tends to be something completely different.
Right.
Which is why some people revert to like drugs and alcohol for certain things, is because that's they found comfort in that instead of their childhood. So when that's the psychological aspect of all of that. Like for me, I don't think it's been a while since I've watched something and been like, I want to watch something like from my childhood. It's been a long time. I don't remember. I don't even remember the last time I did that. But like mainly because for me, horror hasn't gotten to the point. I've gotten to the point with horror that I can just watch it whenever, and I kind of view it from like a film perspective. Also, learning more about filmmaking process has allowed me to like watch any sort of horror movie and just and like I look at it, I'm like, oh, how did they do this? How did they do that? Oh, that's very interesting. How they just had the guts pulled out and like that. I'm wondering how they did that. Versus I look at it from a film perspective. And people are like, you're psychotic. I'm like, no, I'm looking at it from a film perspective. I'm not looking at it from like guts, yay. Which some people do. like I'm not one of those people. I view it from oh, so did they take like sausage links and cut them up and divide them into certain sections for the small intestines? That's the way I look at it. Like I just found out today that for the original Psycho, after the blood that's dripping down the sink in the first kill was actually just chocolate sauce. And I just found that out. The reason and they used it because the movie was in black and white, and Alfred Hitchcock's like, oh well, visually it looks a lot better going down the drain, and they're not going to be able to tell what color it is because it'll be in black and white. But yeah, so yeah, am I sick in the head for watching all these crazy things? Maybe, but I also look at it from a film perspective at the end of the day. So I don't know how we got into talking about all these sick and twisted things. But yeah.
so let's step back here. When Black Panther is confirmed and they give him the herb, when they give him the herb again, the herb. I really practiced for this at doing the accents, Jordan. I hope it shows. I put in the work.
I do the accents. I'm not gonna do them here.
I put in the work, man. I all day I was like, Kim, I need the herb. And she looked at me like, you idiot, which she always does. She's used to it by now. But what the hell was that thing? Oh yeah. So when they give him the herb, he goes to when you become Black Panther, they give you that. They put you in this sand-like apparatus, and you go to the ancestral plane. And he goes to see his father, and he's so excited to see his father. And he's like, Father, I'm sorry, I miss you, yada, yada, yada. And he's on his knees, and he's like, son, stand up. You are a king. And he's like, Father, I fear I cannot do this without you. And his son says, when a man dies and his kids are not ready to live without him, then he's failed as a father. And he says, have I ever failed you? And he said, no. And he says, well, Father, what do I need to do? And it's not funny, but it is funny because I've heard this on a couple of occasions. And it's interesting that he says this. And it is so crucial to the story because we find out later in the movie what he's talking about. He says, you will struggle as a kid. You will struggle because you are a good man with a good heart. You need to have people around you who are capable, who can help you. Right now, at first, when we hear this, we think, oh, okay, T'Challa is a good man. He does have a good heart. You know what I mean? That's what he's talking about. But he's not only talking about that, he's talking about things that he's done in the service of government, in the service of, as a king, things have to appear a certain way. And in order for things to appear a certain way, sometimes people, places, and things have to be omitted, if not wiped out. And so we don't know this at the time, but that's a very important dynamic that's going on here. And it will pay off later. But anyway, T'Challa, of course, when Claw takes that modified arm that he has and fires that weapon, it's not a whole lot you can do about it. So he fires the weapon at Nakia and Okoye, who are Okoye is on top, taking out some of Claw's men, and he fires the cannon at it, and it destroys the car. And Okoye flips up in the air because she's on top of it, catches a car door, lands, and kind of uses the spear as a guide. That was dope.
Yeah.
That was totally dope. And then the funny thing is, we see Nakia just in nothing but the seat, and that was funny. That's one of the best scenes ever. And then he does the same thing to the car that Black Panther is riding atop. And of course, we see Shuri drop to the ground because she's driving it remotely. And Black Panther leaps from the car onto the buildings, keeps going, jumps on another car and another car, finally lands on Killmonger's vehicle, takes his claw, rips off the tire, crashing the car, and of course he captures Killmonger, and Killmonger says to him, "This technology is more than you savages deserve," or something like that, which is, kind of racist. I mean, it's not really racist, but it's racist undertones because you're saying that you savages don't know what the technology, bro. They've had this technology for thousands of years. You don't know what to do with this technology. But anyway, I think at this point he's trying to provoke T'Challa. I love the way that T'Challa. I love the way. Who is this? I think Nakia says it that way. She calls him T'Challa. I just love the way she says that. I think that's cool. You know what I mean? In another life, my name was T'Challa. Don't judge me, Jordan. Anyway, so they capture him. They take him in for questioning, and it's funny because Freeman is talking to Black Panther. He's like, "You guys stay here. I'm gonna go in and interview, and then I'll give you 5 minutes." And Black Panther's like, yeah, we're gonna take him. We're gonna take him with us." And Okoye is talking shit in an African dialect, and she's telling Black Panther what she's gonna do to him. And Freeman says, "Does she speak English?" And she says, "When she wants to." But it's funny because Okoye is all about Wakanda, and we're gonna see that later. This was such a great movie. So anyway, Nakia is looking outside or looking at the cameras, and she senses something is wrong because Killmonger places an apparatus on the wall or they either hack into the cameras, but they can't see that he's about to attack them from the outside. And he comes in firing bullets. Freeman jumps in front of a bullet to save Nakia, ends up getting shot in the back. Black Panther goes after him, and Killmonger fires this weapon at him that causes him to fall back. But before he does, he sees this necklace. And no, this is not from Wakanda, okay? But I'm just, for dramatic effect, he sees that Killmonger has this necklace on, and it is a ring, and on his necklace, but the ring is of royal origin, and so he knows that only someone of the royal guard or that is royalty in Wakanda would have that. And so he comes back and he asks, what's the priest's name? Is it Shuri? Zuri.
Zuri.
I think it's Zuri.
Yeah.
And he goes and he asks Zuri about it. And Zuri tells him the story when, basically that Killmonger's dad had worked with Claw to steal weapons from Wakanda, the adamantium, but he did it to basically support the African American plight in America, to just kind of level the playing field. But he knew that T'Challa's father, would have none of it. And in the conflict that ensued, basically that T'Chaka killed his own brother for Zuri, which explains his dedication to the family and his dedication to Black Panther. And you can see that Zuri has a lot of guilt. Zuri feels guilty. You can see that. He doesn't have to say it. You can see that he is remorseful. And so, Killmonger and Claw are about to leave or whatever, and Claw is telling him, "Well, we'll get your money, and just give me a couple of days." And Killmonger says, "I know, I trust you, blah 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 blah." And then all of a sudden, I forget what he said, but Killmonger takes a shot at somebody. Claw grabs his girlfriend, who kind of helped them in the museum gain access to the weapon. And so Killmonger kills her and ends up killing Claw. And we see that this was his plot all along, to kill Claw and take him back to Wakanda and deliver what T'Challa could not. And that's precisely what happens. Now, during the conflict, because Freeman is shot, Nakia says we need to take him with us because he's not going to make it any other way. He's going to die. And Okoye says, no, this is a foreign operative from another government. we cannot take him into Wakandan soil. You're putting us at danger. And he's another foreigner. This is not just a citizen. This is essentially a spy that you're taking into Wakanda. You can't do that. And Nakia says, but he saves my life. And I think they're saying that there are certain things that are bigger than government bureaucracy. There are certain things that are bigger than just government process. This man saved my life. We can help him. Let's do it. And T'Challa agrees with her. And so they take him back to Wakanda. And it's interesting because when he first wakes up, Shuri is like, welcome, colonizer. How can I help you? And he's like, what? He's like, what? And that was kind of funny. But anyway.
He's like, where are we? She's like, Kansas.
that was funny. But so Killmonger comes back to arrives in Wakanda, and he has the body of Claw, which I wondered, like, how the hell can you carry obviously he had to get there in a plane, but I'm just like, how do you drag around? You know how heavy a body is? Like, how do you drag that body around? But anyway, whatever.
I mean, Claw's a pretty short dude, and I mean, look at Killmonger. Like, he's not like out of shape. Like, he could have done that.
He's definitely.
He's in the military too. He's a special operatives, black ops, all that sort of stuff that he was a part of.
Yeah. So, So anyway, he arrives and meets W'Kabi and delivers Claw's dead body. And W'Kabi's like, yeah, okay. So he shows up, he just walks in with W'Kabi to the council where you got Black Panther and the leaders of the other 5 tribes. And this is hilarious because he's like, I want to challenge him for the throne. And Ramonda's like, no, get rid of this guy. And he's like, no, I am Njaku, something or whatever, son of Njala or something like that. And he shows them his lip. And then he's like to Ramonda, T'Challa's mother, hey, auntie.
Hey, auntie.
That was great.
I love that.
That was great.
Hey, auntie.
Great. Hey, auntie. That was great. I mean, that was great. And so, of course, T'Challa is like, I accept your challenge. And I want to call him Warmonger so mad, but Killmonger is a very prodigious fighter. So he was a JSOC guy. He is a special forces guy. These guys are warriors, and they are a different breed. And he is killed for every one of those little tribal markings that he's got on his chest and his arm. That's a dead body. So he's killed probably 300, 400 people. Like, he's killed a lot of people. And he even says this. He says, I killed people all over the world, people on this continent and in my own continent, just to get in front of you to kill you. And when you think about that, you're like, bro, that's a lot of anger. That's a lot of anger that's just in you. And probably because he's probably the one that found his dad dead, and he's probably got a lot of anger. And his dad had already given him lessons about Wakanda, and he probably felt abandoned. Again, he represents the African Americans and how they feel about the Africans. Like, you guys never came for us. You guys never put up a fight. You guys never did anything. And the Africans are like, you guys let yourself be slaves. You guys, because, you know what I mean? There is that issue. There is that issue. And so anyway, they fight, right? And Killmonger gets the best of him and throws him off this ledge. And before he does, he was like, is this your king? Because when the fight's about over, he's like, is this your king? Is this your king? He can't protect you. And he throws him over the waterfall, and he falls like thousands of feet, which, let's be honest, he'd be dead, okay? He's not imbued with the power of black. He'd be dead, Okay.
I don't know how far. I don't know how. I've always wondered how far the drop is and what is at the bottom, like what water, how deep the water is. I always wondered that, but I'm glad they don't show that. It's a door open. And then he said, "I'm your king." He had some great line. His Killmonger's dialogue in this movie was incredible.
It was.
And the whole all his lines in this whole fight scene were so incredible. I mean, I use them for memes. People use them for memes to this day. I'm sure you can go onto Twitter right now and scroll through and find some like "Nah, I'm your king" or "Is this your king?" sort of thing, or like "I've waited my entire life just to kill you," or "I've waited my whole life just for this moment," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like his dialogue was incredible in this movie.
It really
and this whole fight scene in general was incredible to watch.
It really was. And so, you know, of course, Shuri and Ramonda and Nakia are all just crushed, and they leave right away. And Okoye is not happy about it, but she leaves as well, basically trying to secure them so that Killmonger does not kill them, because he would have been well within his right. And then Killmonger did something that, when I thought about it, it kind of opened up a whole thought process, right? And it was, you know, when they're giving him the herb, there you go, the herb. When they're giving him the herb, he goes into the astrological plane and he sees his dad, but it's at his old apartment. And they start to have conversations. And his dad is like, no tears. And the kid in him is like, people die. And this represents how he had to cope with his trauma growing up. And as we see Killmonger, the man, we begin to see him tear up and we begin to see him cry. And they have an interaction. And it really is touching, because we see that Killmonger has been broken for a while. And in that brokenness, filled with hatred, filled with angst, filled with the vile regard for certain human beings who he feels have put him in this situation, and specifically T'Chaka and the royal family of Wakandans, and we see that. And anyway, he comes back from the astrological plane. He wakes up and he's like, so what do you guys do with this garden? And he's like, well, we leave this for the others to come after you. And he's like, nah, we killing that. Burn this whole thing. And the thought that occurred to me is not, why hasn't anybody burned it, but if the herb supplies the power for the Black Panther, wouldn't you think somebody would come in there and try and steal one? You know what I mean? Or take it? Like, I wonder what safeguards are up, and there probably are. Like, you probably got the Doralage or somebody guarding it, but we just didn't see that, and that was my thought. But anyway, he burns the Arab, and we see Nakia take one. Now, if I'm her, I'd probably take two. One to give to T'Challa, and another one to plant somewhere, so that when T'Challa transitions or whatever, we can grow it and keep this thing. Because now you got to grow that garden again. He burned everything, and he did this because, if you think about it, if you're trying to be control over this continent, these folks don't know you. That's the move to do it. Go ahead and burn them all, so there can never be another Black Panther. So yeah, I totally get that. Give me your thoughts on that, as you know, as this whole thing goes down. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, like Everett Ross says, he was trained to go into different places and
destabilize government.
Yes, and that's what Killmonger does. I mean, that's what warfare is. A lot of that happens throughout human history, where people go into different sections and like they'll eliminate like wildlife or plant life or animals and stuff, just to affect the society, and it ultimately destabilizes them. So it was very honest. It was a really smart part of the plot to do, because then it kind of it leaves like this question moving forward, and it actually ends up a lot of the things this movie does well actually sets up the events of Black Panther Wakanda Forever really well.
Yeah.
And they're not even trying to, because obviously they didn't know Chadwick Boseman was gonna die.
Right.
But like setting it up that like Shuri had to like make a modified heart-shaped herb to give to T'Challa at the beginning of the movie, like because they were all burned. Like that was they did such a great job of showing that and showing the effects of this. And I mean, this movie affects, like, Wakanda Forever is affected extremely by this movie and the events of this movie.
Yes.
And all right, my thought process was, all right, well, do you not want to have maybe a kid in the future and them possibly take the heart-shaped herb? Like that's something I always crossed my mind. But it seems like when he dies, he wants everybody to come with him. So he's one of those types of people. So look, T'Challa and Killmonger are both right and both wrong.
Yes.
In terms of, look, I understand T'Challa's wanting to keep his people safe. I completely understand that. But there are also other people in this world that need help, and they could use the resources that you have.
Yes.
And Killmonger makes that abundantly clear. You have the resources to help people. Now Killmonger is wrong in basically wanting to
overthrow all governments.
Yeah. And so both are right and both are wrong in their own ways. But and T'Challa, by the end of this movie, that's his character arc. Is by the end of this movie, he understands that some things are bigger than just Wakanda.
Yes.
Some things, sometimes you got to help the little people out.
Yes. Yes. And I agree with you. I agree with that 100%. You know, in a few moments, we're about to get into the next interaction that he has with his dad. And that one gave me chills. I mean, that one was like that one, when I went back and saw it and really, you know, I told you about we talked offline about it, and that one really, I got it. And it really did give me chills. But of course, you know, Killmonger takes over, and it's interesting as he walks in to sit on the throne, the camera is paneling upside down, and as we're watching it, it's kind of askew and slanted, and then it comes into focus. And I wonder if they were trying to convey the point that up is now down, that you have a totally different regime now that's coming in here, and their agenda is going to change just by that subtle camera movement. Is that what you got from that, Jordan?
Yes, yeah. It's sort of like a sort of very briefly too, like at the saying "as above, so below."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's and cinematography in this movie is fantastic as well. Like that and what sucks is they use that in the trailer, but I understand it from like a marketing standpoint. I'm like, that's a great shot. I want to use that in the trailer, but it is a fantastic shot. I love that shot.
Yeah. So love that. And he gives his orders. Look, you know, we're going to contact all of our war dogs. And he says, I've already contacted them. Some are with it, some are not. Interestingly enough, the places in America, the war dogs are with it because they, again, have experienced the same trauma. They probably can relate. And so they agree. But in other places across the world, the war dogs did not. And he's like, but they'll get in line. It'll be okay. And he essentially conveys the plan to disperse all of these weapons and begin a worldwide takeover. And at this point, you know, most of the royal guard is like, you're bananas, you're out of your mind, and he's like, you got your orders. And Wakabe is all in because, again, you got to think he's broken. He lost his parents at an early age. So a bigger theme about this is what happens when people do not heal from their traumas. You know what I mean? Oftentimes they grow up to do the same things that were done to them as a method of recompense, as a
Oh,
method of
well, one of
therapy.
the themes of this movie is like being able, and T'Challa makes this abundantly clear that like how we grow up and what we learn from our parents, we don't need to continue that. We can change. Like
Right,
just because history
right,
has laid the groundwork for you to be like this doesn't mean you have to be like that. And
right.
that's one thing I've always taken from this movie is that like you can, like, you look at T'Challa, like T'Challa's, I mean, let's get to when he goes to the ancestral plane.
Yeah.
Like when
So
he says all of you are wrong.
right.
Like,
Well, let's get
yeah,
into it. So they go to the home of the Jabari. You know, M'Baku's doing his thing. He takes them to T'Challa's body, and well, T'Challa is like, he's barely clinging to life, and she's like, well, let's get him back to Wakanda, and he's like, if you move him 2 feet, he's going to die. Okay, and so they give him the Arab, and he goes to the ancestral plane, and this interaction with his dad, for me, is kind of the turning point in the movie,
yeah,
because he says to him, he says, Father, you left a son of Wakanda. You left him there. You killed his dad and you left him there. You were wrong. You were all wrong. There are people all over the world who needed your weapons, and you could have done something about it, and you didn't. You all were wrong. And he says this with such conviction. And at this point, we see T'Challa coming into his own man, because before we really see him walking in his father's footsteps. And don't get me wrong, his dad was a good dad. His dad was not Odin Jordan, or who's the other guy that you said we agreed was the worst dad in the world?
yeah, I just talked about that
We
actually.
just talked about it. Can't remember him.
Yeah, because he's so forgettable as a villain. Dracoff.
Yeah, Dracoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, from
Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
But he's a good dad, but this is you know what I mean, when this is what he was talking about when he was like, you're a good man and you're going to struggle. T'Chaka made that decision and decided he was going to take us to a grave, and he really was all about Wakanda and nobody else. And I'm sure there were people that were fine with that, but to your point, Jordan, sometimes you got to help the little guy, and he probably should have. And so, you know, he's like, come with me, son. Come into the plane. He's like, I cannot do that while this guy sits on the throne. I cannot leave it to him. I have to go back and deal with that. And it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And it really is a situation where art is imitating life, imitating art, because this would be his final battle. This would be the final piece in that. And he would transition, but he was alive for this last conflict, and he did secure the kingship back from Killmonger. So what a moment, which again, to your point, when we see Wakanda Forever, it just makes it that much more powerful. Just incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but this I want to get into that scene. Like it's so powerful, and I always think about it whenever I'm I mean, this is such a, you know, this is a life lesson to anyone watching, is that not everything that your elders do is always the right thing.
right.
Even though they have more experience in life, that does not necessarily mean they're right 100% of the time. They can be wrong, but they have lessons that you can learn from, the positive ones and negative ones that you can still learn from. And you know, T'Challa loved his dad. T'Chaka is great, but T'Chaka was flawed. He's not. I mean, he was a great father, but he was flawed.
Right.
And I mean, not everybody is perfect. And I'm sure when T'Challa looked at him, he saw him as this perfect king, but he was not. And it is very abundantly clear that the history of Wakanda has had kings that just didn't follow that just they kept going along with history and what the past generation did. And when he says all of you are wrong, I really feel that like at some point we need to, I mean, some of us live great lives, some of us don't, and sometimes you need to change. You need to be the change. You need to step in and break the cycle with anything. So, and T'Challa realized that in this moment that like I'm not going to be like you guys. I'm going to do what I know is the right thing to do. It may not have been what you guys did, but I know that in my heart that this is the right thing to do. Right. And it's such a powerful scene, and I love that scene. That's probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, Black Panther goes back to Wakanda, and we have the final battle, Jordan. And Killmonger's like, nah, I'm through with that competition shit. I'm the king. Let's go. And he's like, attack. And Wakabi on all of the forces attack him. And the Dora Laje go to defend the Black Panther. And so at this point, we begin to see that they see that Killmonger is not worthy. Just by doing that, and the fact that he would not agree to the ritual combat, Okoye says, you are not worthy of kingship. And they attack him. And he kills one of the Dora Laje. And before she goes down, she's like, Wakanda forever. And it's just, it's great. This scene is great. There's action. Again, the way the Black Panther moves. Oh, it is a great scene. But what I really want to focus on for these last few minutes is the final battle when they go to where the train is. And T'Challa tells Shuri to turn the train back on, and it impacts their powers sort of way. And she's like, it's going to impact your suit. And he's like, it's going to impact his suit too. And as they're fighting, they're kind of going back and forth. Killmonger is getting the better of Black Panther, and Killmonger says, oh, it's about over for you, cuz. And as the train goes by, Black Panther does this move where he hits Killmonger, throws the knife up in the air. As soon as the train goes by, he timed it very well. The knife comes back, he grabs it and stabs him right in the chest. And the knife is like this long. And Killmonger says, good move. I didn't. He's such a warrior. It's not about him dying. He's like, damn, it's like they're playing chess. I did not see that coming. Good move, cuz. I think he even says, good move, cuz. Like, it's, you know what I mean? And it goes to show how damaged his psyche is, because T'Challa has tried to reach out to him, has tried to talk with him. I don't think initially T'Challa wants conflict with him. You know what I mean? He really was trying to work with him, but he wouldn't have it. And so he's like, it's a shame I'm never going to get to see a sunset. I've heard that sunsets here are beautiful. And T'Challa, in an act of empathy and an act of kindness, I just thought it was a beautiful gesture, takes him up the trolley to see the sunset. And he's like, I mean, we could work on this. We could work this out. And again, Killmonger says a line that I will never forget. And he says, some ancestors, instead of going into slavery, across seas, overseas, they just died. They jumped in the river and died because they knew that death was better than captivity. Or death was better than enslavement, or whatever he said. He was like, just bury me in the sea. And, it kind of brings to mind the statement, give me liberty or give me death. And he removes the blade from his chest, and we see him fall. And it is beautiful and sad at the same time that Killmonger was such a poisoned soul that this is what it took for him. But again, Killmonger represents a lot of African Americans in the diaspora of America and how they're treated and how they were treated and the trauma that is passed down from generation to generation. That's what they're getting into here. That's what this is. Great scene. Of course, we see him go to Oakland and he says, I bought this building and this building and this building and this building. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about infrastructure and basically deprogramming folks in certain neighborhoods and showing them a better way. But a lot of times, if you're going to reach somebody, Jordan, you got to reach them with love. They got to know you. They got to know you care, because if you don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. There's a saying that says people may forget what you said to them. They may forget what you did to them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I love this because he's like, we bought this building and that building and that building and that building. And they really are trying to show them the way. And I thought that was great. I thought it was a great way to end it. I got goosebumps now. I just thought it was great. And then in the closing scene, or the after after credits. Thank you for looking for that. In the end credit scene, we see him at the United Nations, and he's basically talking about sharing Wakanda and the resources with the rest of the world, which I thought was just a beautiful message. Really love this movie. Love the end. I've been talking way too long. Give me your thoughts on this last scene, Jordan, and just everything that you've done.
Well, I'll talk about the fight real quick, because in my opinion, the one area of this movie that just I didn't care for all that much was this final fight. I just felt like it felt very stereotypical, very CGI heavy, but just a very stereotypical ending. But pre-sunset, like when we get to the sunset, that's a beautiful scene. Like just the dialogue between Killmonger and T'Challa, but the fighting in general, like we have like, I forget what his name is, but you have the Dora Milaje fighting against
Wakabi,
yes, and you have M'Baku also helping the Dora Milaje, and like I just felt like this whole thing just felt like I don't know, just any stereotypical fighting. Like they could have just talked instead of fighting. I'm like, okay, y'all could have talked. Like Killmonger is not going to want to talk.
Right.
That's what makes when the train goes by and it divides T'Challa and Killmonger and they can have the dialogue. That's what makes that so great, is because Killmonger doesn't want to talk. Right. He just wants to go kill.
He's about that boss.
Yes. So though that's the great parts of this. But yeah, the fighting in general, I mean, I don't know. It just felt like everybody's, I don't know. It just felt very stereotypical. But when we get to the sunset scene, it's such a beautiful scene visually and just dialogue. I mean, everything about that scene is amazing. And
you are a fan, not to cut you off, but you are a fan of hero and enemy talking. And you are a big fan of that. And so that's we see these two really trying to understand each other when they're talking as the sun descends on them. But go ahead, I didn't cut you off.
And I mean, like, because I think a lot of conflicts in especially older movies don't understand this. I would say like movies that are like came out like 70s and earlier, a lot of like hero villain protagonist antagonist type of movies, they could have just ended by having a simple conversation. And this is the type of movie that you can't just have a simple conversation. This is not something like Killmonger was not willing to have a conversation, because he's seen enough of this and he doesn't want more of this.
His soul is poisoned.
Yes. So This final scene just, and like T'Challa even like reaching out a hand to be at the last minute to say like we can help, we can still work this out,
Right,
and
we can work this out. Yeah,
like you'd go to jail here, but we can still work this out. And I mean, I respect Killmonger a lot for that when he says, "No, just throw me out at sea, just like my ancestors," and takes the blade away. Like that, it's such a powerful scene that Killmonger would rather die than be imprisoned. So just an overall really powerful scene. And then T'Challa definitely learns he needs to help the world. And I wish in future movies we got those Wakandan resource centers, whether that was maybe like even a hint at them and like an Ant-Man movie or Hawkeye, just a hint that like, hey, oh, by the way, I was at the Wakandan Resource Center or something. It's just something, anything, because I haven't heard anything since this movie. Just that's literally all I want. You mention it once. That's all you mention it once. I'm happy. Because I want to know how. I just want to know. I almost just want to check in and say how's this going. Because I love this scene too, like because some like Iron Man would not go to like any sort of basketball court and just talk to people. Iron Man wouldn't do that. But seeing like T'Challa go and talking to these kids and just like showing them the ship and it like he's just he loves people, and that's what I loved about this is T'Challa is willing to learn and grow, and that's what I love about his character overall. And it's such a great way of ending this movie. And then it's funny in the end credit scene. It's ironic in the end credit scene and funny that like he's like, we're willing to share our resources with the world, and all the United Nations countries are like, all right, what are you willing to share? It's like, oh buddy, you wait. Yeah, but I love this movie so much.
No, this was great, man. So we got to get into it, and I thought long and hard. I mean, this was part of the reason I couldn't sleep last night, because no, it really was. When I tell you what I'm going to give it, it really was a decision that I labored about, because I'm like, in my heart, I feel like I should give it this, but I'm like, I know Jordan's eyes are going to get big as day. But I'm gonna do it. Let me find the thing here that I shared with the rest of the world. Ah, shoot, I can't do that. Let's grab this. Okay. So come on, man. What are we doing here?
I will say, before you say it, I've heard a lot of people's opinions on Black Panther. Nothing would shock me unless you gave it a really low score. You'd have to give it like a really low score for me to be shocked.
Oh no!
Like otherwise, you could say any other number, and I'd be like, yeah, I understand. This is a great film, and I think I had it higher initially. In fact, when this movie came out, this was my highest rated non-Avengers MCU film.
Okay, so for me, after watching this, and I've honestly, I've probably watched it 2 or 3 times. I've been thinking about this all week. Jordan, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I felt that strongly about it. Just on when I go back and I look at it, it's a masterpiece. And the fact that it is talking about, it is a comic book movie, but it's so much more than that. And it is talking about, it's just so much going on with it. But yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10. It is right under the Winter Soldier, because I love me some Winter Soldier, and right above Spider-Man. So I gave it a 10 out of 10. And then the other part was like, okay, well, what the hell is Jordan going to give it? And I'm kind of, so I thank you, Jordan. You also contributed to me not sleeping. I'm going to guess that you give this a 9.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in between Guardians of the Galaxy and Fantastic Four. First steps. That's what I'm going to guess. Doesn't mean it's accurate. Jordan, what do you give this film, buddy?
So, all right, I love this movie. I enjoy watching this all the time. It's just the thing is I don't watch it as much as I used to.
Right.
For personal reasons, just Chadwick Boseman dying, but that doesn't make me change the film at all anymore. In fact, I probably look at this film in higher regard since he died. But I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I have it above Age of Ultron. I have it below Winter Soldier. I kind of put it in the same as Winter Soldier. Like you put Black Panther and Winter Soldier in the same breath. You have it as 10 out of 10 for both. I do the same thing. I put both Black Panther and Winter Soldier in the same breath. I think both are great, excellent films. I think, and like I said, the reason maybe it's below Winter Soldier is I think the final fight just felt a little stereotypical Marvel. Like the rest of this film is so not stereotypical Marvel that when we get to that final fight, we feel how stereotypical Marvel. And that's really the only thing. I mean, if the final fight was done differently, there's a chance that this movie's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. But no, when I first saw this movie, it was an experience, and I was Googling like because you could buy T'Challa like chains that look like his necklace that he wears. I loved it. I wanted to buy shirts from Black Panther. Like I love this movie so much, and it was such a wonderful experience. I'm so glad to have seen this movie in theaters and experienced this with everybody else. And everybody, I see this like reel or TikTok all the time where it's like it's 2018, it's February 2018, and you just saw Black Panther, and they have the music of All the Stars by SZA and Kendrick Lamar playing in the background because that's what opens up the credits to the movie. It's just I remember there's certain movies I remember every second of watching that first time, and this is one of them.
Yeah, it was just a great film, man. I've nothing but high regard for this film. Like I walked away. I just walked away feeling proud. I had such a feeling of pride in my soul. It was a great, just a great movie, man. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. And so I'm so glad that I got a chance to do that. I'm so glad we got a chance to do this. Thank you for doing this with me. I love this movie. I really do.
And this gives me a hint at we're gonna have probably different viewpoints for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
You think so?
I mean, spoiler alert. I like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever more than I like Black Panther. That's probably my hot take. I think from a film perspective, especially. I think Wakanda Forever is, from a film perspective, just way better. And and I compare it to like Infinity War Endgame. Like Infinity War is a better film than Endgame. I like Endgame more, but I could write an essay why Infinity War is better than Endgame. I just like Endgame more.
Right. Right.
And Wakanda Forever, same thing. I could write you an essay why Wakanda. I like Wakanda Forever, not too much more than the first one. Like not too much. There's just certain things that I connected with on a just an emotional level with Wakanda Forever that this movie didn't necessarily have, and also the final fight didn't feel like stereotypical Marvel, and I felt consequences. I felt like we were like, okay, this is hard hitting stuff.
No, you're 100% right, man. Bro, I love this movie. Thank you for doing this with me, because this was I first and foremost, I wanted to make sure that we did this right. That we paid homage to not only Black Panther, but to Chadwick Boseman as an actor, as a human being, just as an all around solid good dude, man. And I think we've done that. But this was a pleasure. So thank you for doing that. Guys, we will see you next Thursday when we do Spider-Man Homecoming, another great film. And I think, just like I geeked out this week, I think Jordan is going to geek out.
I don't think I'm going to geek out that much. I like Homecoming, but these two movies in particular. I'm going to say this right now because I forgot to say it earlier. With Black Panther and Homecoming, they're not origin stories, but they're the first of their characters' individual franchise. It annoys me a little. And I think if Black Panther had shown the origins of T'Challa becoming the Black Panther, I would have maybe given it a way higher score. Yeah. And I think same thing with Homecoming, I think if Homecoming showed Peter getting his powers, probably would have given it a way higher score. But I didn't.
I loved Homecoming. And I
love these movies.
What I loved about Peter's just so cute. He's just you know what I mean? Understand the context in which I'm saying. I'm saying he's sir for everything, and no sir, Mr. Whatever. And he's just a kid. He's an adorable kid. You know what I mean? Of course he films the fight in Civil War. Of course he filmed it, because what 15-year-old wouldn't?
But what's crazy is, like, I this is the first time watching this after Zendaya and Tom Holland both got married.
Yeah.
So I'm like watching this. They're not together when they're in this movie. And so I'm watching this. I'm like, that's him and his wife. Like, that's so cool.
No,
like,
I know,
this
right?
is so cute.
I know. It was that poor Liz girl. She went through it, man. She just went through it. She had to move. But I tell you what, Michael Keaton is what an actor. Because the way he plays the Vulture, even though he's very grounded, he could fight. He is so well adapted to these tools and adapted at using this. Like, you know, he is a very capable enemy. And I just, and then I forgot Iron Man was in this movie, and Iron Man is basically Peter's dad in this film. And when he says to him, he was like, "I'm nothing without the suit," and he says, "And that's why you don't need
nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it at all." And that is the best. I look at superhero movies differently since I heard that line.
Yeah,
because I think to myself, if I take away this person's suit, or if I take away their powers, who are they as an individual character, and how do I respond to them? And we just reviewed Black Panther. We see what T'Challa can do without the heart-shaped herb. He doesn't need it, and he's a more than a capable person without it. So,
as a fact, it's why Captain America, not to cut you off, but it's why Captain America is given the serum, and the doctor tells him it's because you are a good person, and you need to be that. And it's also why Cap chooses Falcon to be Captain America, and not Bucky. So, or Winter Soldier. But anyway, man, I love doing this, man. This was great. Thank you for doing this with me, Jordan. This is wonderful. I'm gonna go and have some wine because this was great. I want to celebrate, and also because we don't have to do another podcast until Thursday. Thank you, God. Not that I don't love it, but bro, I've done so much this week. And we got Mariah's party tomorrow, and Jordan, I'm just gonna sleep. I really am just gonna sleep because I haven't slept. So anyway, man, as always, Jordan, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate this. My partner in doing this. Tell these fine folks, man, what else you do and where they can find you, bro.
You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. We just celebrated 9 years of doing this on Thursday.
Congratulations. Wait, hold on. No. Revel in your moment. You started this in high school, right?
Yeah, when I was 16. Yeah.
You started this when you're 16, and you now have 83,000 followers on Facebook. Is that correct?
Yep.
Man, that is outstanding, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
I probably will work another 5 years in this industry, and I guarantee you I won't have 83,000. So congratulations, Jordan. You know I love you. I respect you. And I'm just proud of you, man. And you deserve all the praise that comes your way, because I only have but a little bit of an idea of what you go through on a daily basis, just running that. So I just want to say, hey, man, to you, great job, Jordan. You know I love you. You know we love you. And I'm going to try and give you your flowers here, just for my ATL movies. Hey, let me do it again. There you go. There you go. You deserve it, and congratulations. Now I'm going to shut up and continue what you were saying, sir.
I mean, I wouldn't. I that's why I posted on my own Instagram just thanking everybody, and I tagged everyone, that all my admins and stuff, all the former admins I've had. We would, and I always say we whenever, because all right, yeah, my name's on all the legal documents, like for business and stuff like that, but I always say we. When I say we, and people are like, who are you talking about when you say we? I'm like, me and my admins.
Right.
Like I always say we, because I mean, at this point we're like, I view them as part of my family. Like I always talk to them about anything. And I mean, I've known some of them for the 9 years.
Yeah.
And I've met so many people from all around the world, like from almost every state, from every continent. And except for Australia, I've never met anyone. I've never met an admin from Australia, but I did have someone from Australia in live streams before. I mean, that's how I met Chris, and if without Chris, I wouldn't have met you.
Yep.
I've met so many different content creators. I've met so many different people. I've met athletes. I've met coaches. I've met friends and family. Like this has been amazing. I wouldn't have changed this. I wouldn't have changed any bit of this.
Yeah.
I thank even the people who have left, even if we've left on bad terms. I thank every single one of them. And I really appreciate everybody that got us to this moment. And I can't wait for 10 years next year.
Bro, I totally get it. I work with Carrie every day, and Carrie's like my little sister. Like she is, I mean, for so many of my I probably got 700 videos on my for my ATL movies. She's been at least 400 or 500. And so I wouldn't be here without Carrie. I wouldn't be here without Jack. I would not be here without Eric. And I definitely wouldn't be 48 for my ATL movies. For the record, there is no 48 for my ATL movies without Jordan Burton. There's just not. So I completely get what you're saying, bro. And I'm just super happy for you. And you know what? Keep on kicking ass, man. Keep on doing it. You are your own walking success story. And I'm just so proud of you. And you're at the ripe old age of 25. The best is yet to come, brother. So I'm super happy for you.
On top of that, my first year doing this, I did a live stream covering the 2017 NFL draft. And with Facebook, they take down like older live streams now, so you can't go back and watch it. Thank God, because I had some rough takes. I was a known avid hater of Christian McCaffrey. I want to make that very clear, because I thought he would be injury prone. Guess what? I was right about that. Anyways, no, and it was just friends and family that were commenting in the live stream. It wasn't that many people. It was maybe like 6 or 7 people, but we're gonna be live streaming the draft this year. I'm gonna have different admins. I'm gonna have different content creators on, and I can't wait to do it again this year. Last year was fun. It was exhausting, but it was fun. And I can't wait to do that. Also, from a non-sports perspective, you're gonna be really proud of me with this. I've seen 2 movies over the last 24 hours. I went to see a movie. I went to see Project Hail Mary.
I heard that was great. I heard that was really good.
I need to look at you when I say this. That was one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time.
Okay.
I do have it better than Sinners.
Damn.
I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Damn.
It was such a great movie and so emotionally charged, and it was so well done. So well done. Like, I'm recommending this to anybody to go see. It was such a fantastic movie. Like, I can't wait to see this when it comes out on streaming. I will watch this again. It's 2.5 hours. It's long, but honestly, I think I look back on it, I'm like, man, I wish I had more time. Like, yeah. It was such a well done movie. And then this morning, I decided, all right, I need to watch a movie on my watch list, so I watched Godfather.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Godfather.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan had never seen The Godfather. There's a whole list of movies he's never seen.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, man. I could hug you right now, damn it. Good job. So what did you think of it?
So, all right, first I'll get into what I was doing. So, on my watch list, you know, I have to get into certain moods for certain genres. Right. So what I did was I organized my watch list by genre. Okay. And I also organized each genre by highest Rotten Tomatoes fan score. So whatever the highest rated per genre is the next movie I will watch in my watch list. So for crime, that was The Godfather. So I liked it. I think the first half was a little rough to get through, but as soon as Mike's like quick, like, first of all, when it comes to time in this movie has no understanding of time whatsoever. A day could have passed, or 3 years could have passed.
Right.
You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
And I'm like so confused. I'm like, wait. I'm like, so I thought, like, when he had married the girl in Sicily, I was like, oh, they probably know. I'm like, some time has clearly passed. And then I'm like, no, it hasn't, because he's still got the bruise on his face.
Right.
He's known this girl for like a week.
Right.
And he goes and gets married. So when she dies, I'm like, oh, okay. From that point forward, though, is when I got really invested into the movie.
Right.
I ended up giving it 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I just, when it came to like time perspective, I was like, all right, I don't really know. I'm trying. When you lose me with time, that's hard to do. I can't. The way this second half of the movie, especially the scene when baptism, that was incredible. Incredibly well done.
Yep.
The way this movie ends is a great way of setting up what I've heard is arguably the greatest movie of all time with the second one. So I'm very curious to check that movie out. I have met a lot of people that they feel it is their favorite movie and it is the best movie they've ever seen. So I'm very curious. I'm trying to set my expectations a little lower because I know everybody's expectations are to the top with the second one.
The second one is, I think it's the only sequel to win an Oscar, just like the first one. But there were so many sayings that are just in everyday modern day culture.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Right. Or Lou Braga sleeps with the fishes. Was that in 1 or 2? I can't remember.
I think 1. Yeah.
Lou Braga sleeps with the fishes. And then the horse head, like, oh god.
So when I send the "look how they massacred my boy" meme so much, and then getting to that scene, I busted out laughing because it's such, and you're not supposed to laugh, but I busted out laughing. I'm like, I've used this as a meme so many times. I love it. Right. I'm like, look how they massacred my boy. And
Right.
oh yeah, and look, I've done The Godfather. Like I'll make you an offer I can't refuse. I've done that before, but I've never seen the movie. So no.
I make you an
So
offer.
the plan is, since we're not streaming tomorrow, if I were to, because I woke up at like 7:30 this morning. That's why I was like, you know what? Now I have time to watch this 2.5 hour long movie. Found out that the second one's 3.5 hours long. So if I wake up at same time tomorrow, which may or may not happen, I will then watch The Godfather Part 2 tomorrow.
Well, that'll be awesome. Just do me a favor, okay? Do not watch 3.
I will. I have to.
Don't.
I can't not watch a franchise.
That is the equivalent of having that's the equivalent of going to Ruth's Chris and having the finest steak you've ever had in your life, and then going to some no-name restaurant and having off the beaten path chicken. Like it don't do it. Don't you nothing can equal the steak. No, you I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to help you here. Don't, now you're just doing that to agitate me. Don't do that. Don't watch that or Smokey and the Bandit 3 if you watch Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2. Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2 are great. They are phenomenal. Smokey and the Bandit 3, whoever made it, should be shot. There should be no trial. He should be drawn and quartered and shot. Shame on him. Also, whoever created the 5-day work week should be drawn and quartered. Just saying. Anyway, hey, man, I love this. This was fun. I cannot wait to get together. I sincerely hope that you enjoy Godfather 2 and that you do not watch Godfather 3 because it will let you down. It is awful. It is that season following up your team winning the Super Bowl when they really suck. I wouldn't know. My team hasn't won the Super Bowl. But I would imagine it would be like that. So, anyway, guys, we enjoy doing this. Thank you so much for watching this. You can catch us at For My ATL Movies on YouTube. Again, the number 4, My ATL Movies on YouTube. We do Marvel stuff all the time. There's more content coming with up-to-date movies and TV series. It's just we're so invested in Marvel right now. That's all we do. But, I have been doing some others. So, hey, to everybody who joined and will watch this, we thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for bearing with us and watching this. And we just enjoy fellowshipping with you. God bless you guys. God bless this young man as he is doing great in life and great in this. And hey, thank God for waking me up and all that he does. You guys have an amazing day. And we will see you Thursday when we talk about Spider-Man Homecoming, which is going to be awesome. Good night, everybody. Peace. This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens.